Do 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 do. Hello, friends. Microphone check. It's Nomad Brad coming to you from my box truck. We're doing it live on a Wednesday in the winter season. Happy to have everybody joining us tonight. I can see the chat is quite active. Appreciate all you guys that came in early and started off the discussion talking about winter and cold temperatures. And some of you noticed in the title, I used the foot sign instead of the degree sign. I didn't know what the degree sign, how to make it come up, but somebody told me. I appreciate that. But yeah, we're talking about living in cold temperatures. So I wanted to just kind of share my experience. I just got back from Joshua Tree, California. I'm currently in Yuma, by the way. I made it to Nomad Dad's place. I pulled up today, so I'm back in Yuma. I'll be transitioning into doing more build projects over the coming weeks. But I wanted to share my experience of living in the box truck in Joshua Tree, California in cold weathers, because I know that's one thing a lot of people ask about. How's the power? How's the heat? How does the mini split work? How does the diesel heater work? People want to know. So I'm going to kind of give you guys my experience. And then, of course, if you have any questions, you can chime in. Or if you guys have your own experiences, you can share that in the chat as well. And so let's just dive into it. One thing really quick before we get started, I just wanted to share that since I made it back to Dad's, I got the plaque. We did it, baby. We got the 100K subscribers, silver YouTube play button. Very excited about it. Very much appreciate all of you guys for the support and the likes and the comments and the follows and sharing the word about the Nomad Brad channel. I appreciate you guys. And so this means a lot to me, more than like a 1 million subscriber plaque. I don't know if I'll get to 1 million subs. Maybe I will. But I think getting to the first 100K, that is the sweet spot, because it takes the most determination and commitment to get to from 0 to 100 than I believe it probably would to get from 100 to 1 million. Because once you're at 100, you already have that momentum. But I think the 100K plaque is definitely the biggest grind. So I'm happy to have it. Appreciate you guys for the support. And so I will very soon be making the custom epoxy countertop. We're going to inset the plaque into the countertop, do some awesome orange marbling, and then also put in the names of all the subscribers who supported the build out back during the summer. Appreciate you guys. Yes, I also got a haircut. Got a haircut today. It was very unruly. It was getting out of control. It's been over a month. It's probably been about a month and a half since I've had a haircut. So it was overdue. And I stopped at just some small little ma and pa barber shop in El Centro, California. And they cleaned me up pretty good. And one thing I wanted to tell you guys on the topic of haircuts is the cheap haircut places are no longer cheap. Like the Fantastic Sam's, the Great Clips, even Walmart. When I was in Sholo this summer, I got my haircut at the Walmart haircut place, and it was $27 for a haircut, which I don't mind paying if I'm getting like a good quality service, but the haircut was pretty average. This guy did way better than the Walmart haircut, and he only charged me 20 bucks. So cheaper than Walmart and way better quality. I did leave him a good tip. I left him a $10 tip, rounded it up to 30 because he crushed it on the haircut. But if you guys do get haircuts, you might consider checking in on your local barbers, because at this point, they might be cheaper and you might get a better haircut out of the deal. So that's Nomad Brad's haircut barbershop tips for the night. Okay, cool. So let's talk about the experience in Joshua Tree. So in general, throughout the day, it was sunny. We did have a couple days of gray skies and rain, but over the whole 11 days, only 2 of the days were overcast. Otherwise, the majority of the day was bright and sunny. The air temperature was fluctuated between like high 60s and low 70s throughout the day. And the box truck actually absorbed a pretty good amount of heat throughout the day. It wasn't like hot in here, but you definitely felt the heat radiating, so I didn't need to run the heater at all during the day. Over the evening, it got cold very quick. As soon as the sun went down, the temperature just dropped off, and throughout the night, it was getting down into the low 40s and even the high 30s. The lowest temperature I saw was 36 degrees. So it did get pretty cold. So I'll share what that experience was like with you guys. Now, let's see, I got some notes over here. I want to make sure I hit all the data. I have some data for you guys because I have the new Blue Eddy RV5 power station. I was able to go in and look at the data of like how much energy I was using and bringing in and all that kind of stuff. So that'll kind of help explain how things went for me. So the first thing you guys should know is in the winter, it is currently winter time. In the winter, solar is a challenge for two reasons. The first of all is that the sun is lower in the sky. So during the summer, the sun is almost directly overhead. You get a lot of sun energy beaming straight onto your solar panels. In the winter, the sun drops lower in the sky. So the sunlight is hitting your panels at kind of an angle. So your panels are not able to harvest as much energy as they normally would. For example, my solar array on the roof, it's a 2,000 watt solar array, and the highest amount of watts that I recorded last week in Joshua Tree at any given time was 1,200. So out of that 2,000 watts of solar, I was actually only able to collect 1,200 watts per hour. So the first challenge is that the sun is lower in the sky, you cannot collect as much energy. The second challenge is the days are shorter. So the limited sun, the time that we do have in the sun is much less. I looked at my solar chart and I was able to see that I basically started charging at about 10:30 a.m. That's when the sun was high enough that I was getting like a decent charge. And then the solar was dropping out, meaning the sun was low enough in the sky that I couldn't harvest any energy at 3:30 p.m. So that is 5 hours of sunlight that we were able to collect over the last 11 days. So if we do some math and 1,200 watts, 5 hours, that means my solar array was only able to bring in 6,000 watt hours of energy, which normally on a summer day, you would get more like 6, 7, maybe even 8 hours of sunlight, depending where you're at. So those were the two challenges we were up against. And so when you're in that type of situation, that kind of dictates how you're going to use the solar energy that you have, right? So for example, 1,200 watts, 5 hours of sunlight, that's 6,000 watt hours a day. So basically, every day we have 6,000 watts of energy that we can play with, that we can use. And that has to provide power for the refrigerator, the lighting, charging devices, all your other electrical consumption things. If you have a heater, in my case, the mini split or the diesel heater, you have to spread that 6,000 watts across all your different devices. And it's really important to understand that the size of your battery bank is somewhat irrelevant if you cannot bring in enough energy to recharge those batteries. So even if I had a massive, my battery bank now is 10,000 watt hours. If I had a 30,000 watt hour battery bank, that still wouldn't really help me because I would just be slowly draining my batteries, using more energy than I can bring in. Marcus says, consider alternator charging. That can work if you're driving, but I was parked on BLM land for 11 days, so I didn't drive anywhere. So you could start your engine and idle your engine to charge your batteries, but then you're running your engine for 5-6 hours a day, and that's not really the best thing either. But yeah, if you're driving around the city, alternator charging can help. Someone else mentioned if you have articulated solar panels. Yes, if your solar panels tilt and you can face them towards the sun, that helps. Most people do not do that. I don't do that. Most people don't. Some people do. But I'm just giving you guys kind of a real world example. Most people that are in regular vans, you're not going to have articulating panels. If you have like a big box truck or a bus or an RV, then it can make sense to do some articulation. But for the most part, you're just going to have flat roof mount panels. So just know that however much solar you put on your vehicle, in the winter, you might actually only have, 2/3 of that usable or less. So then one other thing I wanted to kind of mention is on the heating side, right? Because I have my ductless mini split heat pump, which does provide heat. And by the way, I don't know if I told you guys on last Wednesday's live stream, but the mini split works awesome for heating. I talked a lot of trash about it over the last 2 years. For some reason, the mini split that I had in my last box truck did not work well. I don't know, because this experience is completely different. Like I mentioned before, in my last box truck, the mini split, the heat all just like congregated at the ceiling. It didn't get across the full width of the vehicle. Did not work out well. But in this vehicle, it works awesome. I have an even heat throughout the space, front to back, and it heats up fast. It comes in strong and it's powerful and it heats up very quickly. So I'm very happy with the mini split as a heat source. Now, what I want to talk about is, yes, the mini split works awesome at providing heat. However, there's a trade-off with that, especially during the winter. So we talked about the amount of electricity we have available to us, right? So I was able to collect about 6,000 watts of electricity per day. My mini split, when it's in heat mode, it's actually the most energy intensive. It uses more energy to heat than it does to cool. So when that thing's running in heat mode, it fluctuates between 800 watts and 1,500 watts of energy that it uses per hour as it's heating. So you can see if you can only collect 6,000 watts of energy in a given day and your mini split, let's just say it pulls 1,000 watts, that means if you ran your mini split for 6 hours out of the day, you would completely deplete your battery and you'd have nothing left to run your fridge. So it's definitely a bit of a juggling act. And that is why I have a diesel heater as a backup. So I think that's really important for people to consider, is that the chances are when you need heat, it's probably winter, it's probably cold, it might be cloudy, and there's probably not a lot of sun in the sky available for you to collect energy. So even though the mini split is great for heating, it's very limited based on your weather conditions. And I'm fortunate enough that I was in Joshua Tree, California. So every morning the sun came up strong. We had no cloud cover. It was just full sun all day. But most of the country is not going to experience that. So if you're anywhere else, if you're in the Northwest, the Midwest, the East Coast, unless you're in Florida, you're pretty much not going to have that bright, strong sun energy throughout the day. You're probably going to have clouds. So you would be collecting even less energy. So just keep that in mind when you're talking about heating with a mini split. It works great in very specific conditions. And so I did use my diesel heater as a backup heat source. It worked out very well. So this was kind of the schedule that I had, just to let you guys know like what a typical day of heating inside your home on wheels is like. So the first thing I do when I wake up in the morning, once my eyes pop open, is I turn on the diesel heater. Now I sleep with no heat. I just let it get as cold as it wants to get. I bundle up with blankets and I stay warm in my bed. So no heat overnight in the name of, conservation. As soon as I wake up, I turn on the diesel heater and I let it run for about an hour. And so that takes the chill off, brings the temperature up inside the box truck, uses a very small amount of diesel energy. The diesel heater itself, the electrical side, pulls less than 100 watts. of electricity versus the mini splits pulling 1,000, right? So very efficient on electricity. It does use some diesel fuel. However, I run the diesel heater for an hour, then I kick on the mini split. And so that way it's already kind of warm in here, so the mini split isn't having to work as hard. And then I'll just run the mini split for a couple hours until the sun comes up, right? And then once the sun is up, the radiant heat warms up the box. I turn off all the heat, and it's a good time for the whole rest of the day. As soon as the sun goes down, the box truck does hold its heat pretty well. So I really wasn't getting cold until about 7, maybe 7 o'clock at night. It's starting to get cold in here, like down into like the low 60s. And so by then it's already dark outside. I'm out camping. I'm kind of ready for bed anyway. So honestly, for the most part, I didn't even run heat at night. I would just put on extra layers, and then, you know, by 8, 9 o'clock, I'm kind of getting into bed, reading a book, just, you know, waiting to go to sleep. So it's a very efficient way to operate. Definitely not, you know, the most comfortable if you're someone that wants it to be very warm inside the rig. But that worked out very well for me. And over the 11 days that I was out at Joshua Tree, I only used 4.5 gallons of diesel fuel. So for those of you that are wondering how efficient they are, I ran it for 1 to 2 hours in the morning. And then there were a couple evenings where I did run it in the evening because I was up later. I was working on a video or, you know, doing something. So I did on occasion run it for an hour or two in the evening. But overall, for 11 days of heat on the diesel heater, 4.5 gallons. So not bad. 20, what is that? Like 20, about 23 bucks maybe, 23 bucks in diesel. So that was my experience. Overall, it was a good time. I'm very happy with the insulation in the box truck and very happy with the performance of all the systems. Happy to have both electric and diesel heating. And then, of course, if you're in a situation where you can plug in somewhere and you have unlimited electricity, then yeah, the mini split that's the go-to option, absolutely. Offline Melodies has a question. How much diesel does the tank hold? So the diesel tank itself holds about 1 gallon, and then I have a separate 2-gallon fuel tank that I can refill the 1-gallon tank with. So I basically travel with 3 gallons at any given time. And so what I did is I stopped at a gas station on the way into Joshua Tree, filled up all my tanks, my 2-gallon and my 1-gallon, topped them off. And then that lasted me, you know, a week. And then after a week, you have to go in anyway and get groceries. You know, get groceries, get water, dump your trash, do that kind of stuff. And I wasn't completely out, but I was just, you know, low enough that while I was in town, I refilled it. So I was able to basically go the whole time on 4.5. If I had a 5-gallon gas tank, I could have went the whole time just off one fill up. But, you know, keep in mind too, this is for living in a, excuse me, a pretty warm weather climate. I really feel some empathy for folks who are in cold weather states. You know, if you're in the Pacific Northwest or the East Coast, I mean, to be comfortable in your van, you're going to have to run a heat source basically 24/7. So if that's, I mean, in that case, it's probably going to be your diesel heater. You're not really going to be able to do it with anything else. So you would have to have your diesel heater running 24/7 and constantly be filling it up. And so that would definitely be a little bit of a chore. So I think that's why most of the nomads follow the good weather. You know, we don't spend too much time in super low temperatures. We just follow the sun, and it's been working out pretty good. We got Diana Saylor in the chat, also John C in the chat, doing their moderator duties. I appreciate you guys for hanging out, keeping an eye on the chat, making sure nobody steps out of line. We're trying to keep it PG in here for all the... I do know there's a few families that watch. I've had people email me that say they watch my videos with their children. So, you know, I try to keep that in mind. Although, honestly, they're going to hear anything worse just going to public school or on TikTok, but we try to keep it PG in the live stream. Techerax says, is the back door insulation enough? So the back door is not even insulated yet. It's uninsulated. That's only a sheet of 3/4 plywood. but it did good. I didn't feel any cold spots. When I was laying in bed, I didn't feel like cold, radiating through the door. So I will add insulation. That's a project I'm going to be doing here in Yuma. So, and I'm sure that probably made my box truck less efficient by not having the back door insulated. So once I get insulation on the back door, then it would even be more efficient, all the heat sources in here. The Immortals California says wood stove works too. Yes, I love wood heat. I grew up in the country. We had a wood fireplace. I loved it in the wintertime. You can do small wood stoves in vehicles. However, everyone I've talked to that has a wood stove in their vehicle, the challenge is the wood burning chamber is very small. And so you have to constantly be restoking it with wood because it burns through the amount of wood you can fit in it within like an hour or 2 hours. So basically you're having to restoke that fire every couple hours throughout the day, which is fine during the day, but you can't keep it going overnight. So what happens is you go to bed, fire goes out, everything gets cold, you wake up cold, then you have to go start a fire in the cold morning. I mean, I love wood stoves, but the challenge is just the vehicle versions have very small fire boxes. And the reason they do that is because it radiates a ton of heat. So if you had a huge wood stove in here, it would be too damn hot. You couldn't even be inside the box truck. And I know because we had a wood stove in our loft above our garage on the farm I grew up on. And it was the smallest wood stove that they sold at the fireplace shop. And that thing, when we would light it in the winter, the loft was pretty big. I mean, it was probably close to 2,000, maybe 1,200 square feet, the loft. But we would light that wood stove, and within an hour, it would be so hot in the loft that we would have to open the windows just to keep it like a comfortable temperature. So wood stoves are crazy. I do enjoy them. If you have a big space. Are your windows double pane? No, my windows are single pane. Pretty much every vehicle window is single pane. You can order specialty double pane windows for RVs. They're very expensive. They're like $700 a piece. And the other challenge is the reason they don't do double pane in vehicles is because all the vibration and the flexing and the movement, it can cause the pressurized gas between the two panes. It can cause that sealant to rupture, and then all of your gas escapes, and then you get condensation inside the glass, and it's a big mess. So that's why they generally don't do double pane in vehicles, but you can get them if you want. Mike Carpenter says, love the build, love the content. Keep it up, brother. Appreciate you, Mike. Happy to have you drop in the chat. On Track Chronicles says, what's the first project on the agenda? The first thing I'm doing, and I'm doing it tomorrow, I'm installing my shore power plug for the Blue Eddy RV5. So that way I can plug into my dad's house here in Yuma, and I can run my mini split whenever I need to without having to worry about solar power. So that's going to be my first task. Jividen says, my friend had the Cubic Mini, max burn time of 3 hours. Yeah, so there you go. 3-hour burn time on a wood stove. It's not going to go through the night. HBA Dave says, Brad, you look at email. Do I check my email? I do check my email. Fair warning, I get a lot of emails, and so it's hard to catch them all. Sometimes I'll see an email and I'll look at it and I'll want to reply, and then something pops up and then it's gone. So yes, I do check my emails, but sometimes I don't get back to everybody. So if you want, send it again. Send me an email again. If you sent one, I'm assuming you sent me an email. Send it again, and maybe just put put in the title or the subject, put in HBA Dave or something, and I'll see it. Try hooking up an EV charging port to the Blue Eddy. The charging port on the Blue Eddy is limited to 50 amps. So I guess you could downscale your EV charging. The voltage is the biggest. Well, I guess the voltage would be okay. Yeah, I mean, you could probably do it. I've heard that people have done it, but I don't. I don't spend time at EV chargers. But I think if you're going to be in the city, I think it might be a good idea. Darmao, I find if you have an electric vehicle, you have access to climate control all night, but then you lose 20% of the main battery per night. Totally worth it. Yeah, one thing I want to say about electric vehicles, or my favorite, I don't like full electric, but I like hybrid vehicles. And so I have a buddy that has a Honda Odyssey minivan, and it's the hybrid version. So he gets really good fuel economy. But the cool thing is, he can run all of his devices off an inverter that's hooked to his battery. And then when the battery gets low enough, the car just turns on and charges up his battery. So that's pretty cool, a pretty cool feature. And he can run the heat and the air conditioning as long as he wants. And it'll just cycle the car on and off as needed. So basically your car turns into a generator, which is pretty cool. You're drinking straight vodka. Absolutely. Only the best. Grey Goose for the homies. It's actually lime water is what I'm drinking tonight. I would not be able to do a live stream if I was drinking vodka like that. All right, let me hop in the chat, see what's going on, see what you guys have to say. You can put some plexiglass to fit your windows and pull it out as needed. Yeah, so one thing I wanted to mention actually on the window insulation topic. Where is it? Oh, it's over here. So I have these blackout curtains, and I actually cut them down and put them in for Sunday's video. I was doing some testing. But the cool thing about these blackout curtains is they have this reflective layer, like metallic layer on them. And so they actually provide a really good level of insulation. So if it's hot in the summertime, a lot of times in my last rig when it was really hot, I would just put the window cover down, and then that would block out all the heat that's coming in through the window. And then in the wintertime, you know, you put this down and it prevents heat from escaping out of the window. So the thermal blackout curtains are definitely super helpful for this type of situation. I definitely recommend them. That'll probably be the next project. After I do the shore power, I will install permanently the window trim and then the window coverings. Because I'll be doing a lot of street camping here in Yuma this winter, and so I gotta have my windows up so not everyone's looking inside, watching me cook meat. John likes the lighting. Yeah, we're doing a little red tonight. I thought it was kind of a cozy, warm vibe. It looks a little bit like a fire, like a fireplace. We got the red on tonight. Got the light up mirror in the back. It's feeling homey in here. Mike is watching from Kentucky. Seems like you slowed... Guy with ALS says it seems like you slowed down building. I did. I've been traveling, man. So I was up building all summer in Show Low. That was like 4 months of just nonstop building. But then I took a pause. First of all, for my mental health, working all day every day for 4 months straight is a big grind. So I needed a break from all that. But the main thing I needed to do was go down to San Diego and hook up with e-bike van life so he could help me install my rear door. So that was the main reason that I broke away from the build out, was to get the door done, which technically the door is still part of the build. And then while I was in San Diego, I still did some projects. I installed the diesel heater. I installed this light up mirror. I installed the ceiling lights. I installed the ceiling trim. So I've been doing some small projects, what I could while on the road. But now that I'm back in Yuma, it's full steam ahead. And so the goal is to just work my tail to the bone up through March until it's too hot to be in Yuma, and then I'll head north. So we'll see how much we can get done. What is that? December, January, February, March, about 4 months. I got about 4 months to just get after it. So we'll be in pretty good shape by the end of 4 months. It won't be done. There'll be more projects to do next season, next winter. I won't even touch the exterior of the box this winter. I won't do the understorage or any of that. So we'll save that for next winter. How is King Gamer doing? Oh, King Gamer. I have a story to tell you guys about Nomad King Gamer. I have a story to tell you about King Gamer. Marcus Allen says, come back, Flipper. Dude, Flipper straight up left. He wasn't kidding, man. He got pissed. I'm glad he's not on here tonight because I'm talking about burning fossil fuel. He'd probably have a heart attack. I feel like the live stream would be a whole lot different if someone was chugging vodka. Yeah, it would be a lot different. Oh, Diana bought an Ogo. Yeah. Congratulations, Diana. Happy to hear it. Diana's got the Ogo toilet. The orange light is perfect. Do you have tinted windows? Yes, my windows are tinted. Box truck is looking sharp. Thank you, my man. I appreciate it. Francesca, 9 months as Silver Nomad. Thank you so much, Francesca. I appreciate it. She says, I got a 2014 Chevy Express 2500. Hell yeah. That's a good choice. I'm loving my Chevy engine. It's been a great vehicle. I haven't had any mechanical troubles since I fixed that squeaking belt. That was a pretty minor issue. I got a super chat from Samuel. Thank you so much, Samuel. I appreciate you. We got the fist bump. Is that a pear? It looks like a blue pear giving me a fist bump. Thank you, bro. I appreciate it. I appreciate you. Oh, 1500. That's okay. 1500 will still work. 2500 would have been higher weight capacity, though. Spanx says, you still liking the 200 to 600 lens? I do, yeah. I haven't used it as much. If you watched last Sunday's video, I took shots of those fire spinners, and I used my, what is it? It's a 28, I think it's a 28 to 110 lens. That worked really good for zooming in, getting some tight crops of the dancers. But the 200 to 600, I'll be using more for like nature and wildlife. So that'll probably be something I end up using more this summer. Once I travel to the PNW, we got some birds, some lakes, some rivers, some beautiful mountains. I'll be using that a lot. And I'm looking forward to it. But yeah, it's an awesome lens. I'm amazed at how much it zooms in. Mike says, is it possible to generate any income from a freeze dryer? So here's the thing, Mike. I would say no. And here's the reason why. If you're going to sell freeze-dried products, you're competing with all the large-scale freeze dryers that have huge facilities, huge commercial-grade equipment. They have assembly lines. They have all their costs cut to the minimum, maximum production. They're scaling with volume. So they're able to offer a product at probably a much lower price than you would be able to. So I would say you'll have trouble competing with them. Your only option is if you want to go with, this is a small local business, support your local business, which I'm a fan of. That would have to be your angle, right? Buy your freeze-dried stuff from the guy that lives in a box truck, then that might work out for you. But if you consider like the time and investment into freeze drying, and then you're only going to be able to make, I don't know, a few dollars off of each pouch. I don't know if that's going to be financially viable. Hoosier in the Woods says, how often do you put the Murphy bed up? Was it worth it versus the old truck? So here's the situation on the Murphy bed. A lot of people ask about it because it's always in the bed position. The reason it's always in the bed position is because I have junk stored underneath the Murphy bed from traveling to San Diego. And there's no benches built yet under the Murphy bed. So literally, if I fold the bed up, I have nowhere to sit, and I'm just looking at a pile of crap. So that's why I leave it down. But I promise you guys, as soon as I clear all that stuff out and hide it in Nomad Dad's garage, and then build the benches, and I have seating that I can use, then I will use the Murphy bed more. But I love it. My favorite feature is how quick it deploys. 30 seconds up and down, you're done. I love it. Podcast Van bought the Reolink 4K camera. There you go. I'm loving it. It's so cool. I got to get another one for the rear of the box. They make one that has like a swivel head that you can control it from the app and like look at different stuff. So I think I'm gonna get that for my other one, so that I can kind of look around more, check the surroundings, incorporate it into videos, show you guys where we're at. So we'll have the fixed position camera and then also like a swivel around one. So look at this camera. So this, I am so impressed with the Reolink's 4K color night vision. This is a live video feed of outside my box truck. Keep in mind, it's pitch black outside. Like if you look out my window, it's pitch black. But look at the camera. I mean, it looks like daylight. That's absolutely incredible. So that's Nomad Dad's Class A RV right in front of me. Super cool. Yeah, I love this camera. It's so nice. The phone app is really handy. It's super user-friendly. That was my biggest concern on getting a camera. There's a lot of cheaper ones on Amazon, like funny, no-name, you know, just Chinese cameras. And my concern was the software would be glitchy and it wouldn't work very well. And for something like this, you need the software to work properly, to access it and use it and record. So I'm very happy that I got the Reolink. I definitely recommend it. Mr. Potato Ted said ditto on the Ogo. You got one too, man. Happy to hear it. Team Ogo in the house. HBA Dave says blue lighting. You want to try blue? So I put on the red because the red actually looks the best on camera. We'll try out the blue and tell me what you guys think. Right? The blue, there we go. I turned the saturation down. That's not too bad. That's the blue. When is the next Nomad meetup in San Diego? I'm not sure yet, honestly. Right now I'm focusing on the build out. It might not be until spring. I can't leave again. I got to get this build complete. So maybe I'll cruise over there before I head north for the winter. Ready to break the seal in the shower? Not even close. I don't have it plumbed. No water tank and no water heater installed. Oh, okay. Let me tell you guys about King Gamer. So I'm only sharing this because I talked to King a few days ago and he said it was okay for me to share this with you guys. Because I told him, I was like, dude, people are asking about you. We got to talk to the people. So, Nomad King Gamer, his plan was to, once he got to San Diego, was to get a job and just work and save for a year and save enough cash to buy a box truck. And he made that happen. He had enough cash as of a month ago to buy a really nice box truck. And so what happened is King Gamer has, the only bank account he has is a credit union in New York. He doesn't have like a national bank branch, you know, like a Chase or a Wells Fargo. He only has a credit union that only has branches in New York, okay? And there's something funky with his, like, his ID, or he doesn't have an address. For some reason, he couldn't open a regular bank account in San Diego. So King Gamer didn't want to have all of his work checks direct deposited to his bank in New York because he would have no way to get the money out. I mean, I'm sure there's a workaround, maybe, but it would be tricky, especially when we're talking about, you know, over $10,000, right? So that was his concern, is if he put all of his money into his bank in New York, he couldn't physically get it out to buy the box truck. Usually when you buy these box trucks on Marketplace, you got to pay cash. You know, you can't write him a check. So that was his predicament. So what King Gamer did is he kept all of his cash inside of his Subaru. And it's been in there for the last year. And now it wasn't all in cash form. Some of it was, he put some of it into Pokemon cards because the Pokemon market was really hot. And I mean, I guess he knows the stuff. So he was showing me all these Pokemon cards he had. Like, he bought this one for 1,000 4 months ago. Now it's worth 2,000. So, I mean, he was up, right? Like in a gambling sense, he was up in Pokemon terms. So he had a bunch of cash and then a bunch of money in Pokemon cards. And he's basically been living like that for the last year. Now, King Gamer lives in that Subaru. That's the only spot he has to stash stuff. And he works at a bar downtown San Diego. So he parks his Subaru on the street, on like a side street near the bars. And it's there almost every night of the week from 9 p.m. to 3 a.m. It's kind of in a bad spot, and there's a bunch of undesirables drifting around. Long story short, a couple weeks ago, somebody broke into Nomad King Gamer's car and they emptied it out. They took everything. So he lost all of his money, all of his Pokemon cards, his clothes, his posters. He had some tools he was saving up for the build. E-Bike Van Life gave him a hand-me-down Makita like cordless drill. He lost everything. So that's where poor King Gamer is at. Needless to say, he was very upset, very distraught, very sad, feeling pretty defeated. He basically lost an entire year of his life, like income-wise, right? Like everything he had saved up for over the last year, zero. So now he is in San Diego, living in his car, still working, but now he's got to start back from zero. So yeah, it's a terrible cautionary tale. And so what I would tell you guys, everybody that lives in their vehicle, is don't store anything in your vehicle that you cannot afford to lose, because you could lose it. Your vehicle could get stolen, your vehicle could get broken into, your vehicle could catch on fire. Some nomad that I don't personally know had their short bus burned down a few days ago. They lost everything. So in general, you should keep all your money in a bank account. That is the safest spot for it. If you are in a situation where you cannot have a bank account and you're living in one place for an extended amount of time, you should get at the very least, you should have a storage unit. So, I mean, you can get the cheapest little, 5-foot by 5-foot storage unit for like $50 a month. In most cities, they have like the entry-level ones. So that would be like the minimum thing, is you should at least have a storage unit. And beyond that, don't travel with anything you can't afford to lose. And that's my mindset. All the stuff I have in here, there's a lot in here, but it's all replaceable. The biggest loss for me would be losing the rig, because then I would lose my income. How do I make videos? So knock on wood, that doesn't happen. But yeah, that's the cautionary tale for tonight. I did talk to King about a GoFundMe, and so he said he was going to think about maybe setting one up if folks want to, contribute to that. And I guess the most important thing is he learned a very valuable lesson, and so I would bet that he will not do that again. He will not let that happen again. Yeah, short-term CDs are great. You can get like a 6-month CD. Just a good way to lock up your cash. So there's options out there, but something to think about. Yeah, I mean, a storage unit isn't like maximum security, but it's going to be way better than leaving your valuables in a vehicle. I've been using storage units on and off for the last 10 years, and personally, I've never had one broken into or tampered with. It can happen, but I'm just saying, we're talking about, just trying to hedge your bets and do some preventative measures. And so I think a storage unit is better than a car for leaving valuables. Obviously, a bank would be better, but anyway, that's where we're at. So I'll talk to King Gamer about the GoFundMe and if he is going to set that up, and then I'll share it with you guys maybe on next week's live stream. If he works at a bar, there's always a safe spot in the back. Yeah, I mean, that's true. He could have brought it in, but the thing is, every night he's going to have to transport a briefcase with, $15,000 worth of cash and Pokemon cards. So there's still some risk in that, But I agree, that would have been a good thing to try out too. Yeah, safe in the back. I mean, anything would have been better than leaving it in your car. So it's sad. Our prayers go out to King Gamer. And I talked to him a couple days ago. He's doing good. He's handling it very well. I would be devastated. I would be absolutely floored. And he's taken it pretty well, all things considered. So I don't think it broke him. And I think he's just going to stay in San Diego for another year and muscle it out. And I mean, if you're going to live in a vehicle, San Diego's the best spot to do it. So I think he's going to stay there. San Diego vaults. Safe deposit boxes, San Diego. Yeah, there you go. Small storage unit. Yep, absolutely. Yeah, for Willie C, anyone tuning in late, King Gamer's car got broken into and he lost everything he owned, which included a very substantial amount of valuables. A lot. Basically, a whole year of savings was inside that car. All went to zero. Diana Sailor says, 13 years ago, I had vehicle theft twice in a month. Oh my goodness, that's crazy. Yeah, he didn't let it tear him down. He's doing good. E-Bike Van Life in the chat says, I just saw him today. He's in great spirits. Hell yeah, happy to hear it. King is a pretty positive guy. I mean, all things considered, he's got a pretty cheery outlook on life, so I'm glad he's taking it so well. TXS83 says, I live full-time in a cargo trailer. Last 4 months, no home base. Do you have a home base apartment house? I do not. I do not have any home base. My dad has a winter home in Yuma, Arizona. So for the past 3 years, I've been coming to Yuma and spending winters in the area hanging out with Dad. So I can leave some stuff here. I have some tools and things here in the garage. But I do not have a home base of my own. I do want to get one in the near future. It's part of my Nomad 5-year plan. So I do want to get a piece of land somewhere. I really just want land. I don't care about a house. I'm so comfortable in here. I really don't have any desire for a house. But I would like to have a physical location where I can just park that's my own. I could stay for a couple months. Also, I just want a place to store things. So I think I'd get a big shipping container dropped off and lock it up really secure, and I'd keep like some tools and stuff in there. So that would be the plan. Where was the vehicle? It was parked on the street outside the bar that he works at in San Diego. And he said there's a lot of, less desirable people that wander the streets at night. And so he thinks it's one of those guys that smashed in and stole his stuff. And also, because he has all of his possessions in his car, I mean, you can look in and see all the stuff stacked up in there. So I'm sure the person that broke in had a pretty good idea that there would be something of value. I'm sure they didn't realize they were breaking into an absolute, fortune, but they thought there would probably be at least, some stuff to sell for drugs, I'm sure. Mike says, how do I find your Amazon list? Is it in the chat? I haven't even checked on my list in a long time. I haven't even checked on it in a long time. Let's check it out. Amazon. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I was really grateful for everything you guys contributed from the initial list. And that's kind of all I needed. You know, I'm pretty content with what I got. I appreciate all the donations. I did have I did have a list for the power steps because some people were just mentioning they wanted to continue to support. Hold on, I got to think here. Your lists. Here it is, right here. Let me look. Let me look. Here it is. So the power steps, they're not cheap. They're $1,300. We had 5 contributions for a total of $185 out of 1,300. Now keep in mind, I'm not openly asking for any donations. I'm content. I really appreciate everything you guys gave me already. I love it. So grateful for it. If you do just want to contribute, then you're welcome to. By all means, please do. I can drop a link in the chat. I'll drop a link in the chat for it. Let's see. Oh, I can't copy paste from here. Oh, yes, I can. Can I? Did it work? Yeah, it did work. Anyway, that's the list for the steps. Okay, let me get back to the chat. I know I'm way behind in the chat. I'm sorry. Emmanuel says, I got a question. Do you still install solar systems? So right now, I'm not installing solar. I had to put that on pause with this new box truck build. Doing YouTube videos for me, it's kind of a full-time job. So it takes up a lot of time to maintain my YouTube channel, and then doing the box truck build on top of that, I just don't have time to do solar installs right now. So it's possible I might open it back up once the build is complete, but at this time I can't take anything on. I wish I could, but I can't. All right, let's cruise down the chat. It's illegal to live on an RV on property even if you own it. I know. So basically, I just can't tell the government, and I can't put it on YouTube. The government is concerned. The government is really worried that people are not renting houses and apartments and taking out mortgages. Our entire financial system and our entire society pivots. Look at that. What a triangle. It pivots upon the idea that housing, is an asset that goes up over time, and also that everybody needs to live in some type of sticks and bricks. And if too many people stop buying houses, the housing market will plummet, and it will be a nightmare. It will be an absolute nightmare, like 2008, but times 10. And so, things are getting tough financially for a lot of people, and a lot more people are saying, I'm not paying $1,500 for rent for some crappy studio. I'm going to go live in the car I already own. And so they're doing it. And I think that's why they've made these laws, because they're seeing what's going on. They're realizing people are figuring a way outside of the system. And what's funny is the value of most property is the house itself. Like you can't get a mortgage on a piece of land. You can only get a mortgage on a house that's sitting on the land. So if you just have a piece of land and there's no house on it, they can't lend you any money and they can't make money off you. So the government's always trying to, keep it going, keep you plugged into the system, make sure you're making your payments, tithing into the matrix. And so there will always be outliers. And so what you have to do is just be creative about the way that you circumvent the matrix. and be careful about what you post on social media. So I have to think very carefully about this property that I get because I have a YouTube channel, but I probably won't be able to share a lot of the things I'm doing on YouTube because that's the government's window into my life. Okay, back to the chat. Back to the chat. Oh, we got King Gamer in the chat. What's up, King Gamer? We're just talking about you. Some people want to contribute to your GoFundMe, dude, so you should set that up. Set it up and then email me the link, and I'll go over it in next week's live stream. Not enough housing inventory. Yeah, you know what the problem is there's plenty of vacant houses. There's plenty of vacant houses. The problem is they're all owned by corporations. I watched a YouTube documentary, and a couple of years ago, Zillow, the website where you check home values, Zillow started buying up thousands of houses, and they were going to try to flip homes within their home listing service. So the problem is everyone's trying to use housing to make money, and it's messed up because housing should really just be a place for somebody to live. It shouldn't be an asset that governments and corporations are fighting over to try to squeeze money out of you. That's the problem, is that, you know, housing should not be structured the way that it is. But that's why there's an inventory shortage, because banks and companies are sitting on empty, unoccupied homes. Airbnb blew up. I've seen maps before of popular US cities where there's just thousands of homes that are only Airbnb. Nobody lives there unless you want to rent the house for $1,000 a night. So the whole thing's upside down. But that's why I live in a box truck. I ain't worried about it. Brian says, I agree with you. NPR with the 6-liter is the best platform. I love my 6-liter. I'm so happy with it. It's got that early 2000s like reliability. It's just tough. It's just a tough rig. I'm really happy with it, man. They will put a stop to car camping. Yeah, I mean, the government can't really stop anything. What they can do is they can make it extremely painful. So they will just, increase violations and penalties and fines and increase parking tickets. They'll just make it to where it's financially not feasible, but they can't really stop it. But they can definitely punish the hell out of you for it. So that's what they're doing by putting all these ordinances in place. The whole reason they're doing all these ordinances is because once you have a law or an ordinance on the books, then you can attach a fee for violating the ordinance, right? So they're like, oh, you're not going to live in a house? You're not going to pay us rent? Well, we're going to get the money a different way. We're going to tax you for living in your car, but we're going to call it no parking on the streets from 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. But it's actually, it's like a cost of living tax. It's crazy. Yeah, BlackRock owns a ton of housing as well. Yeah, so what their goal is they buy up all these homes that people would buy, and then they just rent them to you. And then, like Klaus Schwab says, you'll own nothing and be happy. They'll just have perpetual renters. So then they have these properties that just make money month after month indefinitely. So, I mean, from a business standpoint, it makes sense. But from a moral standpoint, it's pretty messed up. And, I would be okay with it if they at least had like affordable housing, But it's not even affordable. It's all just through the roof prices. So yeah, it's nuts. I don't know what's going on. We will tax you $5 per breath, signed the government. I agree. Oh, here's a question I want to talk about. Willie C says, how is the ride quality at highway speeds in the Isuzu box truck? So when I first got the Isuzu, I drove from the mountains of Arizona to San Diego. The highway was very nice, very smooth. It was a very good ride. However, once I got to California, everybody knows California roads suck. There's potholes everywhere. They're in terrible disrepair. And so I hit some pretty nasty bumps in this vehicle. And so I do want to report that this NPR box truck, it is more bumpy of a ride than my Econoline. I just want to state the facts. This vehicle is more bumpy. However, that's not all the time. And I still prefer this vehicle. But, you know, everything has trade-offs. So this vehicle, it's a little more bumpy than a typical van chassis. And it's because you're sitting directly over the wheels and the shocks. But highway speeds, it's fine. I mean, it cruises. I can go 70. It drives straight. The only thing that messes you up is like big bumps, like a big pothole or a big divot or something, that you really feel that. But otherwise, it's good. We're cruising. Yeah, if your box truck is empty, it'll be a lot more bouncy until you put some weight on over the rear wheels. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, I'm cruising down the chat. California's gonna do a driving tax. Ugh, I cannot stand California. All the rules and regulations are crazy. And Marcus Allen makes a good point. It's a commercial truck. It's not like riding in a Mercedes. That's something to consider too. I mean, no vehicle of this size is going to ride like a Honda CRV or like a Ram 1500. These are huge vehicles. You know, they weigh 2-3 times the amount of those other vehicles. They're taller. They have way more surface area. You get wind gusts. I mean, it's a whole different experience driving a box truck. Now, I still enjoy it, and it's still very manageable, but it's different. And you're not going to get, retail consumer type vehicle ride out of a large vehicle like this. Ain't going to happen. You will eat the bugs. You know what I'm saying, man. I will not eat the bugs. I will eat the beef. What are your plans for the smaller box truck? I sold it. It's gone. It's gone. Yeah, it'll definitely ride out smoother once you build it, because the suspension is engineered so that it's a comfortable ride with a, fully loaded cargo area. So when your cargo area is empty, that suspension is super rigid. So it's really bouncy, but it'll smooth out once you weigh it down. Also, I don't know if you saw, let's see, was it last week? Yeah, last Sunday's video, I did a little off-roading in Joshua Tree after the rainstorm. This thing drove awesome. The ground was a little soft, a little wet, but this thing powered right through. I didn't slide at all, didn't get stuck. I felt it bogged down a couple times when I hit like some really wet patches, but I just smashed the throttle and dug right up out. So the box truck is weighted very evenly. The new tires are fantastic. I'm super happy with how it performs off-road. I mean, off-road as in like, in a big empty space. I wouldn't dare take this into like a forest, into like a service road or something. That's way too tight. John C is out. Good night, John C. Happy to have you here. I'll catch you on the next one, brother. Okay, here's a question from Death by Proxy. I was thinking when you're building a box truck, a lot of the mass is going to be where you store your water. but also the battery bank. Yeah, so the most important thing when you're balancing your vehicle for weight distribution, as long as your weight is like over the rear wheels or forward of the rear wheels, that's a pretty safe place to put it. You don't want to have a lot of weight behind the rear wheels if you can help it. But then the most important thing is left to right. Because if you have a lot of weight on one side of the vehicle, it will literally shift your box truck. In fact, Scott, what's his name? Scooby Adventures? I think his screen name is Scooby Adventures. Anyway, Scott, the guy with the box truck that I helped with the solar, he has all of his weight on one side. And I could tell when we were in San Diego, when I was parked next to him, his whole box is leaning. And it's because all of his weight is on one side of the box. So you want to try to balance it out. And I strategically put my batteries and my electrical system and my mini split on the opposite side of my freshwater tank, with the reasoning that the mini split and the batteries and the inverter will help offset the weight of the water tank. Your freshwater tank is basically the single heaviest object that you will have in your vehicle. So try to just kind of disperse stuff like that. Willie says lithium batteries aren't heavy. Well, my lithium batteries are 48 volt, 100 amp hours, and they're 120 pounds a piece. So it's kind of heavy. Now a 12 volt, 100 amp hour lithium battery is not heavy, but if you're doing a 10,000 watt hour battery bank in lithium, it's going to weigh a few hundred pounds. Emmanuel says, do you plan to keep your box truck a really long time? Yes. I'm hoping this will be my last build. I'm so happy with the cab chassis. There's nothing else that I want from it. I love it. It's perfect. I'm happy with the size of this box. You know, when I was in Joshua Tree, I could just zoom in to the grocery store, park up easily, whip around in the shopping centers. Anything bigger than this, and you're going to have to really hunt for parking spaces. This is about 23 feet bumper to bumper. My last box was 21 feet. So I really feel like this is the sweet spot of like the perfect size vehicle. The only caveat to that is if you were only going to be out in the open camping, like if you're going to be in the desert on BLM land, you know, moving around in big open fields, you could get a bigger box truck. If you were going to have like a tow vehicle or something, at that point it would be almost like an RV. But if you're only going to have one vehicle, this is about as big as you want to go. Yes, my box truck gets 11.5 miles per gallon. Thank you to Adventures with Super Dave for remembering the fuel economy. I appreciate you guys. You guys really do pay attention. Good night, Cruz. Happy to have you here, man. Oh, this is interesting. Willie C says better to have more weight on the driver's side than the passenger side because the road leans. That's interesting. I didn't even think about that, but Willie's right. Willie is right. Most of the roads slant slightly towards the edge so that water can run off. So they are slightly slanted. There you go. Do you have a water level sensor? I do not. No, so on my water tank, it's a big tank. It's 55 gallons. And so I just have a big view window where I can just visually look in and easily see the water level. And I mean, that tank lasts me, without a shower, that tank lasts me 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks easily. So it's not every few days or something, I just kind of peek at it, see where it's at. Not a problem. But you can add water sensors. I don't care. I don't care. How do you miss not having the pass-through? I don't miss it. I rarely use the pass-through. If you watch that video I put out, the one that went viral that has like 2 million views, stealth camping in a hotel parking lot in Yuma, Arizona. If you watch the process of me using the access door, it's like an acrobatic feat to like you know, you have to like swivel around and like crouch and like duck through the door, and your knees are like bumping into the seat. It's like a whole process to get into the back. And I just didn't like to fuss with it. So I always just used the back door. The only time I used the pass through was to make YouTube videos because people, you know, like to see it, but I really didn't use it at all. Or, you know, maybe like if it was raining, like there's a rainstorm or something, I might have used it a couple times, but yeah, rarely at all. The one thing I did like about the pass through is I could, like, if I forgot something in the cab, I could easily just reach through and grab it. So, like, if I forgot my phone or my drink or something up in the cup holder, I could just open the door and reach in and grab it. That was pretty handy. But otherwise, no, I don't. I don't miss it. M. Lena says, "Do you do consults?" So I appreciate Diana Saylor for helping answer that question. I didn't specify earlier. I am still offering consultation services, but I'm not offering in-person installs in regards to my solar work. So I'm happy to do a consultation, a Zoom meeting. If you guys want to know what kind of system do you need, what do I recommend, what components, if you have a question about electrical or about van life or about plumbing, any of that kind of stuff, I'm happy to do a one-on-one with you guys. But I just don't have the ability right now to do like a full in-person install. So I am offering consults, but I'm not offering installations. Yeah, water weighs 8 pounds a gallon. I'm pretty sure it's 8 pounds a gallon. Someone's asking about pulling a trailer versus a motorhome. The problem with the trailer, okay, so the benefit of a trailer is your vehicle is separate. So if your vehicle breaks down, you still have the trailer. If your vehicle breaks down, you can just go rent a U-Haul truck and hook it up to your trailer and drive away, which is pretty nice. The downside with the trailer is you're super long. You know, your trailer is going to be 16, 20 feet, plus your vehicle is going to be at least 12 feet. So you're going to be 35 feet going down the road. It's difficult to turn around. It's hard to find parking. And it's a lot of effort to disconnect the vehicle from the trailer if you're like parked off grid. You have to get out leveling blocks and level the jack, and it's a whole process. So it's not convenient to just drop the trailer and drive into town. Also, if you're going to leave your trailer off grid somewhere in the desert, in the forest, and drive into town, your trailer's sitting there unsupervised for anybody to tinker with it or steal it or break into it. So I would have a hard time, you know, driving away from my house knowing I got a bunch of stuff inside. So trailers are not for me. Some people like them, but not for me. I think a trailer would be best for somebody that's going to go to a specific destination and then stay for a long time, right? If you're going to go camping for 6 months at a time or go stay at an RV park, I think a trailer is a great choice. But if you're moving around every week or 2 weeks, I think you're better off with a single vehicle. Yeah, you know what's funny? Oh, we got F&A in the chat. What's up, Frankie and Alex? Frankie and Alex says, I'm getting 10 with my Ram 1500 and trailer. You know what's funny is I talked to a guy that has what was he driving? A Transit. He has a built-out Transit. And he told me he only gets 12 miles a gallon. And it's funny because everybody always complains about fuel economy with the box trucks. They're like, it's so big, the economy must be terrible. And when you look at the window sticker, the MPGs on a Transit or a ProMaster or a Sprinter, they're really high. And that's for an empty vehicle. You know, by the time you put, 5,000 pounds of build out on it and you put on big tires and solar panels on the roof, you're creating a ton of drag and your fuel economy just drops off. So I don't think the fuel economy in this home on wheels is really much worse than a ProMaster. And you get so much more space. How could you not love it? How could you not? Bill Johnston says, how many amp hours? Oh, he's asking Super Dave how many amp hours he has. If you're not van build savvy, what would be the next best option? I would just buy one that's already built out. The market is pretty soft right now, so you can get some really good deals. There's been somebody in the San Diego van life marketplace trying to sell a Ford Transit for like 4 months, and they keep dropping the price. It's so cheap. I almost feel bad for them. It's like it's like $23,000 for a pretty nice Transit with, you know, a decent build out. So yeah, I mean, I would just buy a used one. But what I would say is, if you're gonna buy someone else's conversion, you should have somebody take a look at it before you buy it, especially if it's a DIY conversion, because you don't know what you're getting into. So that would just be my, you know, word of caution. Try to have somebody look at it that kind of knows a thing or two about a thing or two. Death by Proxy says, I want you to know I watch a lot of videos on van life with box trucks and everything, and there are very few people who stream and make videos living in an actual box truck. Thank you, Death by Proxy. I appreciate it. I enjoy the live streams. My goal is just to show you guys, you know, the real life of what it's like living this lifestyle. So that's why in the videos I try to show where I park at, making food, dumping my poo buckets, you know, dumping the trash, how I find parking spaces. I try to show you guys what it's actually like. So if you guys want to get into this lifestyle, you're not just watching YouTube videos of people in fancy vans cooking gourmet burgers on the side of a mountain. You know, that's a very small part of van life. The majority of van life is looking for a place to park, looking for a place to fill your water, emptying the trash. So I'll try to keep it real for you guys so you will have no shocks when you get into this lifestyle, if you do. Yep, the builds will be, Robin with the chat misses the build videos. I'm starting tomorrow. Tomorrow I'm installing the shore power. So from here on out, all winter, every video I publish will be 50% build video, 50% some other thing that makes it a little more exciting than a regular build video. So there will be plenty coming. Frankie and Alex says we're 30 feet long with a truck and trailer. He's not wrong. I wouldn't lie to you guys. I said over 30 feet. Yeah, 37 feet. So I mean, 37 feet long, that's a lot of space. Again, it's fine if you're gonna park it and leave it somewhere for a while, but if you're trying to like navigate throughout cities and do van life stuff, it's gonna be tough pulling a trailer. You can do it, but it's gonna be tough. The podcast van says, I get 13 to 14 with my 06 with the 5.2 diesel. Hell yeah, man. Yeah, definitely the diesel engines seem to be a little more efficient. So happy to hear it. Happy to hear it. That's a nice number. Thank you, Death by Proxy. I appreciate the comment. I'm going to keep going. I ain't stopping anytime soon. Hat Powser says, where are they advertising that transit? It's on the Facebook. Let's see. Let me see if I can find it real quick. San Diego van life. Oh, how do I search within a Facebook group here? Let's see if I can find it. Was it in San Diego van life? Yeah, they have for sale postings in here. It'll stand out because it was like an interesting shade of kind of blue. Here it is. Let's see. That's not even the newest post. So the last post, let's see. It is, what year is it? It's a 2017 Transit 250. It has 126,000 miles. Now, the only post I can see is from July, and he was asking 29,000. But he's dropped the price like at least 3 times since then. I can't find the more recent posts, but I'm pretty sure the last time I saw it, it was like 23 or 24 grand, which seems like a pretty good price for what he's got. I mean, it's not like a fancy custom build out, but I mean, it has solar and batteries and a bed and cabinets and a sink, and it's a good platform that you could build off of it. So if you go to, I just went to San Diego Van Life, the Facebook page, and then I just typed in Ford Transit, and I scrolled down. It's like the fifth or sixth one. It's blue. Let's see what we got. Let's see what we got. Look at this. King Gamer is doing work tonight. So he just sent me his GoFundMe. Oh, hold on. I'm going to share it with you guys, but I got to donate first. I can't, I got to be first. Let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go. 8, 5, 3, 6, 7. Boom. PayPal. You can use PayPal, Venmo, or a credit card. There it is. All right, I'm going to share the link with you guys. Drop it in the chat. King Gamers, GoFundMe if you want to contribute. Help him get back into a box truck. Do, 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 do. And yeah, he left a little story about it in the chat. By the way, the saddest thing about King Gamer's story is he had an autographed concert poster from his favorite band, System of a Down. It was a limited edition poster. They only made like 100 of them. He had number 1 out of 100, and he had it signed by the entire band. And he had to camp out outside the stadium overnight to get in line to get that poster signed. And that was in his car, and it's gone. So yeah, that's totally, unreplaceable, right? That piece of that keepsake. So super sad about that, but he mentioned it in the GoFundMe there. Good night, Janet. Appreciate you dropping in. What else do we got? Thanks for the heads up on that group. We'll join. Living in Playas de Tijuana because I can't afford San Diego rent. LOL. Yeah, a lot of people are going down to San Diego for cheaper rent. It's funny. I saw a TikTok the other day about this guy that's doing the same thing. He's an American. He works in San Diego, but he's renting a condo in Tijuana. And he says when he tells people, they're like, "Oh my God, isn't it dangerous down there?" And he just says, "Dude, like, have you looked at the news of what's happening like in Central California, like L.A., Compton? I mean, there's so much gun violence and gang violence here in the States. I don't think Tijuana is necessarily any worse." Especially the border towns. Honestly, they have a lot of military presence on the border towns. When you cross over, there's military police everywhere. So I would say that a border town is probably the safest spot that you could be. Good luck on the build. Thank you. I appreciate it. Peace out, FNA. Videos aren't going to edit themselves. I feel you on that. But in general, yeah, if you guys join, so the best place to find used vehicles is on Facebook Marketplace. That's the best place. I've bought all my vehicles from Marketplace. There's a lot of good deals on there, even converted ones, right? So use the regular Marketplace tab, right? Like in Facebook, there's just a Marketplace button, and then you can type in like van conversion or transit conversion. But also join the van conversion sale pages. So go to into Facebook, go to the pages section where they have all the different groups, and then just type in like van life or van conversion, and you'll see a bunch of them pop up, and then just join those, and you'll see all kinds of stuff available. Good prices right now. People are trying to unload these things. Thank you, Melena. I appreciate that. You're the most informative and the coolest. I appreciate you. I donated after getting, okay, talking about King's fund me. I donated after getting hacked and losing 1,000. I totally get it. Hope he gets back on his feet. Appreciate that, man. Diana Saylor donated. Appreciate you, Diana. Number one OG supporter, Diana Saylor, the moderator, coming in with the support. I appreciate you, Diana. Bill Johnston, when is the meetup in Yuma? Man, I don't know, man. I don't know. I just got here. I got to do some work. Maybe January, after Christmas. I got to get some progress on the box. Bill Johnston, if you're in Yuma, I'm happy to, meet you at a grocery store and you can take a peek at it. If you want to just see what a box truck looks like, happy to meet you in town one day. But yeah, as far as a meetup, maybe January we'll shoot for one. Anti-Clip says, I'm looking for a rig right now and I've seen so many price drops. Yeah, prices always drop going into winter. Most people don't buy rigs in the winter. Everyone buys them in the spring because the weather gets nice and they're like, I want to go live in a van down by the river. So it's a good time to buy. Plus the economy is kind of taking a hit. And a lot of people that bought vehicles, but it was like a fun vehicle, like they weren't really about that nomad life, they're selling them, right? Because for them, it's a liability. It's an expense, right? They're already paying for housing, they rent an apartment, whatever. They have a little Sprinter on the side. But, when they feel the squeeze, then they just let go of the Sprinter. But for us, when that's your house, that's an asset. Anything that prevents you from having to pay rent every month is a good asset in my book. Lindsay donated to King Gamer. Thank you, Lindsay. I appreciate you. E-Bike Van Life says, 'tis the season. Let's get King some wheels. It is the season. Let's hook up King Gamer. Someone's asking about the communities with casitas. Do you have to own an RV? No, you don't. No, so my dad lives in a casita. That's what he has here in Yuma. It's a small house, like less than 1,000 square feet, and then it has 2 big RV parking spaces. But you don't have to own an RV to live here. Now, there might be some different communities where you do have to have an RV, but this one you don't have to. Anyone can just buy it and live in it or rent it. So yeah, box truck, whatever, doesn't matter. Any trips to San Francisco? Not anytime soon. Nomad Brad's workday meetup to work on his box truck. Oh man, I wish it were that easy. Arizona Online says, give us a thumbs up. Please give us a thumbs up. I'd appreciate it. Angela Salatino donated to King Gamer. I appreciate you all. Thank you so much for the donations. All right, King Gamer, everybody that donates for your box truck, you're going to have to write their names on the wall of your box truck. That's the stipulations. Any plans on coming to Texas? Absolutely not, no. I have no plans to go back to Texas. I liked Austin, that's it. Otherwise, it's pretty flat, pretty miserable. The weather is bad for living in a vehicle. It's too hot, it's humid, the winter's too cold, all the bugs are angry, they're all trying to bite you and eat you. So I'm not a fan of Texas. I liked Austin, that was pretty much it. I like the people though. I like the people, I like the freedom, I like the self-reliancy. Met a lot of good old boys in Texas, a lot of farmers, a lot of hard workers. I like the people. Texas has a good spirit, but the land is godforsaken. Adventures with Super Dave donated to King Gamer. Thank you, sir. I appreciate you. A Nomad Brad theme song? No, I don't think so, man. And a subscription to Nomad King Gamer. King Gamer says he's on board. He might do an epoxy. There you go. Yeah, see, e-bike van life is from Texas. He was in the Houston area. He knows. He knows what's up. It's good weather for like a month and a half, and then it's either too hot or it's too cold. There's ice, there's snow. In the summer, there's crazy humidity. I remember one time I was staying in Texas, and it wasn't super hot yet. Like, it was still moderate weather, but it was humid. And I left my windows open in my last box, 2 box trucks ago. I left my windows open overnight because I didn't need air conditioning, but just the cool air was enough. When I woke up in the morning, the inside of my walls had condensation dripping down them just from the humidity. It was crazy. Crazy. Dino in the chat just donated. Thank you, Dino. I appreciate you. King Gamer said, us nomads already have a theme song. Share it with them. Oh, I don't know what you're talking about, man. I don't know the theme song. I don't know. I don't know the theme song. Welcome to the family, Erie. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Death by Proxy says, I don't blame you. I'm trying to get out of Texas. I was only asking because I want some electrical work done. Oh, yeah. Nope. What's the ideal West Coast spot to be in summer? Ideal West Coast spot to be in summer. I would say Oregon or Washington. In the mountains or by the beach. There's lots of land, lots of spots. Yeah, the hill country was nice. It's like very west Austin, but yeah, the hill country is beautiful. It is. I'll give you that. When I say Austin, I mean like the greater Austin area. Austin, hill country, Dripping Springs, that area of like central Texas is beautiful. There's a lot of water, a lot of cool, trees and plants and stuff. It's nice, but once you edge out of central Texas, no thank you. Yeah, hill country has some impressive vineyards. It looks like mansions out of a movie. I've never seen anything like it before in my life. All right, guys, we're going to wrap it up. That's it for me. I'm ready to go. I appreciate you guys for tuning in. I appreciate you for donating to Nomad King Gamers fundraiser. Let's take a quick peek and see how we did tonight. Look at that. The Nomad Brad chat has already contributed $512 to Nomad King Gamer towards his next box truck. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. I will have a video going out Sunday, which will include my trip back from Joshua Tree and installing shore power on the Blue Eddy RV5. And then tune in next Wednesday for another live stream. And who knows what's going to happen in the meantime. There's a lot going on right now, so I'm sure there'll be something exciting happening. I appreciate you guys for watching. I'll catch you on the next one. And that's it from me. This is Nomad Brad signing out. Peace.